A big hello to all our viewers, our patrons, our audience, and our reverend guest for today. I wholeheartedly extend my heartfelt gratitude to Anuragyam Society and Top Writers Publication for standing in support in all our endeavors. It gives me immense pleasure to tell you all that the show has been widely appreciated and has been covered by a daily newspaper in Jaipur. And this proves that we are on the right track and moving in the right direction. And a bigger thanks to all the doctors who have spared their valuable time and their precious presence to be on Let Oorja Talk. And today, I take immense pleasure and pride to be with Dr. Puja Dewan. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Nidhi. Thank you for having me.
Okay, today this is a very special meeting because Dr. Puja Dewan is a very private person and is not on social media at all. But I take this as a personal achievement, a milestone achievement that she has consented with all ease and please to be on this talk show and share a few glimpses of her private life. I mean, not private exactly, but of course her journey in her professional life and also in whatever she does, her passion, her hobbies, and everything that she wishes to do. A very warm welcome to you once again, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Nidhi.
And to talk about Dr. Puja Devan, she is a very soft spoken and an extremely charming personality and who does not take too much into social media and clearly stays away from them, but we definitely have the privilege to have her here on our talk show and to tell you about what Dr. Puja is all about. She is a practicing obstetrician and a gynecologist with 18 years of vast experience since her post graduation. She has studied in St. Francis School and DPS RK Puram and was always a class topper. Wow, ma'am, that's really impressive. And actively participated in debates and orations. Well, we are going to see a few of her oratory skills today, definitely. And she did her MBBS and MD from BJ Medical College, Ahmedabad, and her senior residency from GTB Hospital and Safdarjung Hospital. She worked as a specialist in ESI and Delhi government hospitals for 8 years before pursuing her personal practice, private practice, during which she worked as a consultant in Shanti Mukund Hospital, and her strong inclination towards academics and love for teaching gradually took over, and she is presently working as assistant professor in Noida International Institute of Medical Sciences, Greater Noida. She has written numerous papers and is a fellow of Indian College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. Wow, now that is a spectacular journey. To begin with, this spectacular journey of 18 years, how would you just tell me one thing before we start with our talk? Like, yours is a family of doctors. You have doctors, even Dr. Divan is a doctor, of course I'm calling him doctor, and then everyone else in your family is a doctor. So how do you begin your day कि आज हीमोग्लोबिन का स्टेटस क्या है, कि ब्रेकफास्ट में कौन से विटामिन सर्व करने वाले हैं?
So let me before answering that question, let me tell you about my father's side. Okay. So my family, my maiden family, there's nobody is a doctor. Okay.
Okay.
So it's a business family.
Okay.
So my dad, this was my dad's dream that he wanted कि उनकी बेटी डॉक्टर बने. Okay,
Wow.
because घर में कोई और डॉक्टर नहीं था. So his dream became my dream, and with God's help, God's grace, and everybody's help, so we achieved it finally. And once with all that glory in my house that हाँ ये लड़की डॉक्टर है हमारी, I came into the Dewan family where there are like almost 45 doctors.
Wow,
So
oh my God. A whole
वही
country
घर की
of people.
मूली, हाँ whatever, घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर. So कोई वैल्यू नहीं है यहाँ पे. Everybody is in the same boat, and conversations are fun because it's very easy to talk. We understand each other so well. There is
Perfectly,
no need
absolutely.
to explain anything. And but yes, we sort of sometimes feel कि हम कुएं के मेंढक हो जाते हैं in our family also, because we don't have exposure to the other fields, the other different, so many professional branches. We are not exposed to any of those. So we are just in that cocoon of being doctors all around, having doctors all around.
लेट्स नॉट कॉल इट अ cocoon because आई फील कि जब आपकी फैमिली में सब डॉक्टर्स हैं सो ऑब्वियसली आपके प्रोफेशन को आपके टाइम को आपकी मेहनत को सब अप्रिशिएट करते होंगे एंड डेफिनेटली बिकॉज दे नो द काइंड ऑफ वर्क दैट यू आर डूइंग तो दे नो कि आप कितना बिजी हैं किस वक्त एंड कितना टाइम दे सकती है फैमिली को डेफिनेटली ये चीजें आपको एक्सप्लेन नहीं करनी पड़ेंगी ये एक इनबॉर्न चीज है क्योंकि बहुत
Yeah.
चीजें
Being
आसान
a
हो जाती है
gynecologist, my hours are very erratic, especially
एब्सोल्युटली
earlier when the children were young, and it was really, it was madhouse, because I had to go for at nights for deliveries. So my husband has always been such a big support. I wouldn't have been able to manage without that.
They say that behind every successful man there is a woman, but I believe that behind every successful woman there is a man with a progressive thought, and
Yes.
all goes to sir also because आप कुछ भी बोलिए चाहे लेकिन हस्बैंड का एक बहुत इनर्ट एक सपोर्ट होता है तो डेफिनेटली वी कैन रीच फॉर द स्काईज एंड ये बहुत एक हेल्पफुल एंड हमारे स्पेशली फॉर वुमेन हु आर वर्किंग उनके लिए बहुत बड़ा एक ये boon है if husbands are understanding and they know you that you have been working relentlessly and definitely when you are a doctor your times are your work schedule is so erratic you just never know कि आपको कब hospital जाना पड़ रहा है आना पड़ रहा है and they understand you completely kudos to that and kudos to a very happy family like you and
Actually.
now talking about Dr. Puja, what she likes and what her passions are. And she enjoys writing poetry and has contributed to her father's book of poetry published last year. She has learned Kathak and dancing is her passion. Wow. She loves to travel and has loads to do things in her bucket list. We would definitely like to know what are those things that you want to do that they are in your bucket list. But first and foremost about the writing. But you are also a voracious reader. So I mean, so how do you how do you unwind at the end of the end of a long day? How do you tend to unwind now that you're into reading also, writing also? So how does it?
So
What do
yes,
you like?
reading has always been a passion, and during the time of my medical studies, मैं बोलती थी कि बस एक बार ये मेडिसिन पढ़ लें, उसके बाद कोई किताब जिंदगी में नहीं पढ़ूंगी, because पागल हो गए थे. But नहीं, I cannot give up reading. It is something that I have one book in my bag, one in my car, and one in my office all the time. So I am like well placed. Every time I know that I have company. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I read everything which I get my hand on. It might be a magazine, it might be in the newspaper, it might be, and there are some authors I love. Uh, I keep reading different authors. I like fiction more. So reading is always there for me.
So
The
Pooja,
last
which
if you want to know the last book I read, I read Animal Farm by George Orwell, which my
oh,
son in class 10th told me to read. He said, Mom, this is very nice to read this. So I
that's
read whatever I lay my hands on.
lay your hands on.
And
That's one.
I read before going to bed. I read a little bit every day. Yeah.
That's a very good way of going to bed. Like absolutely, because even I read to bed, and and I guess there is where we start writing. There is where this writing streak comes in. And so, Pooja, what are you into? Like when you're into writing, what topics do you generally write on?
So I'll tell you the first thing I wrote. If you are interested, I
Absolutely,
was young.
absolutely. Your talk show entirely, and we want you to be candid. We want you to be a free bird. Pooja, the woman, Pooja, the lady, Pooja, the little girl, that little girl in you. We want you
So let me
to
tell
be.
about the little Puja. I was young, and I think I had a fight with my father, about something related to the AC. That is what I remember right now. So we had a new air conditioner in the house, and I was like, maybe I don't know what I was doing, but maybe I was overusing it or something, didn't switch it off, and he maybe shouted at me. So I
Oh,
remember the first poem I wrote was called AC or Beti. And in that,
wow.
In that, I was actually comparing myself with the AC and telling how the father is preferring the AC over the baby.
Over the baby. Of course, you would definitely like to hear this. This sounds hilarious. Yes, yes,
So
please.
that was the first thing I wrote, which I remember. And see, writing has always been a form of expression for me to just put my thoughts down in an interesting way. Something which it just comes to me. I'm not a professional writer or a poet. I just do it sometimes, occasionally, and I just like to, do it, write a few lines sometimes. That's all, nothing more.
So please go ahead. All our viewers are waiting to listen to this. Beti ya AC. Wow, now that's the topic.
No, that one I don't have. That was in
Okay,
my textbook somewhere in my class 8, I think. So that,
okay.
that
No
one I
worries.
don't have.
No, you can have something else from your kitty. Yes, please.
But let me share something which I wrote a few years back.
Of
Okay,
course.
so and this one is dedicated to all the women, and I
Right.
feel all the ladies, all the women out here will relate to this one. So this is
Definitely.
called "मैं की तलाश."
Okay. Wonderful. Please go ahead.
मैं उड़ान भरना चाहती हूँ, दिल से हैं कुछ वादे किए, जागते ढेरों सपने बुने हैं, कुछ अपने कुछ उधार लिए।
बहुत बढ़िया।
छोटी थी तब माँ की गोद में सिमटा था पूरा संसार। मीठी यादें, वो लाड, वो लोरी, वो दादी का प्यार दुलार। पूरी होती
बहुत
थी हर इच्छा, दोस्तों का साथ रहता था हरदम। कितनी हसीन थी वो दुनिया, ना कोई चिंता थी और ना कोई गम।
वाह, बिल्कुल ठीक।
सपने बुनता रहता था ये मन, बावरा नहीं जानता था। जीवन की राह इतनी सरल नहीं, ये दिल कहाँ मानता था।
हाँ, होता था। बहुत बढ़िया।
हमसे पर मिला, अपना घर छूटा, मन में थे नए सपने, नए लोग थी, नई जगह थी, पीछे छूट गए थे सब अपने। आया बोझ जिम्मेदारियों का, रिश्तों के उलझे धागे, निभाया फर्ज हर कदम पर, कर्तव्य रहा सबसे आगे।
अरे वाह, बहुत सुंदर।
आई एम कटिंग इट शॉर्ट अ लिटिल बिट। आजकल
Why
एक चादर बुन रही
why
हूँ।
short? Why short? We wanted, the complete poetry.
आजकल एक चादर बुन रही हूँ, उस पे गोटा, झालर, सितारे लगाना चाहती हूँ।
हाय हाय, बहुत
आज
सुंदर।
आसमान का दूसरा छोर कहाँ तक जाता है, ये पता लगाना चाहती हूँ।
बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया।
ढेरों अरमान हुए पूरे दिल के, बहुत सारे अभी बाकी हैं।
बिल्कुल।
बहुत कुछ पाया है, पर बहुत कुछ पाना अभी बाकी है।
बाकी है। बहुत बढ़िया।
उड़ान भरनी है अब अपनी, उड़ान भरनी है अब अपनी। अभी तक औरों के लिए किया है, अब मैं की तलाश पे जाना चाहती हूँ, अब मैं अपने लिए जीना चाहती हूँ।
अरे वाह, बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत उम्दा, बहुत ही उम्दा। एक नारी जीवन का सत्व आपने प्रस्तुत किया है। और किस तरह हम सारी जिंदगी दूसरों के लिए, दूसरों के, अपने परिवार के लिए, अपने फैमिली के लिए डिवोटेड रहते हैं हमेशा, और फिर कहीं ना कहीं एक इच्छा रहती है कि अपने लिए भी
आई थिंक
कुछ।
हर औरत में एक छोटी बच्ची छुपी होती है, वो
बिल्कुल
बच्ची जो
बिल्कुल
जिसके अंदर बहुत सारे सपने अभी भी बाकी हैं, और
बिल्कुल।
आप अपना फर्ज निभाते हो, अपना जीवन पूरा कर रहे हो बच्चों के लिए, सबके लिए। और कहीं ना कहीं एक लाइफ की एक ऐसी स्टेज आती है जब आपको लगता है हाँ, शायद अब मैं कुछ अपने दबे हुए सपने, इच्छाएं पूरी कर सकती हूँ।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। एक ऐसा समय, एक ऐसी अपॉर्चुनिटी, एक चांस हमें मिलता है कि जब बच्चे वेल सेटल्ड हो जाते हैं और दे आर इन देयर स्पेस वेयर, जिसमें हमारा इंटरफेरेंस ज्यादा उन्हें नहीं चाहता
नहीं
चाहिए।
चाहिए।
डेफिनेटली फिर हमें लगता है कि क्यों ना अपने लिए कुछ कहीं ना कहीं सोचा जाए।
और हर
बहुत।
औरत को करने चाहिए वो समय, चुराओ अपने लिए।
तो पूजा जी, आपकी जर्नी आज से यहाँ से शुरू होती है। आज हमारे इस टॉक शो से आगाज होता है आपकी उस सेल्फ एक्सप्लोरेशन जर्नी का। आई द पर्सनली विश यू ऑल द वेरी बेस्ट
थैंक
फॉर
यू।
ऑल द एंडेवर्स। एंड आपकी बकेट लिस्ट के बारे में आई एम इंट्रीग्ड टू नो कि उस बकेट लिस्ट में क्या क्या है, और
It's
हम
quite
जरूर
private
जाएंगे।
actually.
नहीं नहीं,
I have
whatever you
those
share,
things,
whatever
those
you share.
places I want to see. I want to go for the Alaska cruise. I want to
Oh,
I want to do things which I have never done skydiving. That is something I want to do. But मुझे लगता है अभी और बूढ़ी हो जाऊंगी तो वो नहीं कर पाऊंगी शायद. तो जल्दी जल्दी कर लो जो करना.
I beg to differ, Pooja. Here, I beg to differ. We women, we never grow old. We grow
True.
young. We never
True.
grow old.
Why become better as it ages, right?
Yes, of course. So we women never grow old. So that's an understatement for us, कि हम बूढ़े हो जाए, हम बूढ़े नहीं होंगे कभी भी. तो बहुत सुंदर बात. और आपने एक जगह मेंशन किया है अपने बायो में कि आपने you have assisted your father in that book of poetry that he has written. And today I feel I have this privileged possession with me and sent by Pooja. Thank you so much for sharing this beautiful collection of poetry. And you have assisted your father in compiling the whole of it. So if we could just have a small glimpse of the kind of poetry that he writes for our viewers.
See, my dad is a great poet. He has written loads of. He has material ready for another book now,
Wow,
and
wonderful.
and he writes on a variety of subjects. So there's nothing on which he doesn't have a poem in this book. There's a wide range of subjects from his childhood to even politics and everything. And I think I have got from him a little bit.
Definitely, a plethora of thoughts, and this is a beautiful collection of poetry I've recently read. And all thanks to Pooja for sending this beautiful, wonderful gift to me. And
I can
let's have
share a little hasya kavita since everybody
yes,
would like to laugh a little.
absolutely. हंसी तो वैसे थोड़ी सी अब हमारे चेहरों पे मुश्किल से ही आती है, तो why not? Definitely.
This is a small poem by my dad. It's called पत्नी की. प्रिय, क्यों तुम रोज रोज नए नए सूट सिला रही हो?
अच्छा.
पुरानी साड़ी में भी तो तुम अप्सरा सी नजर आ रही हो. इन ब्यूटी पार्लरों के चक्कर में तुम ना पड़ा करो. अपने चांद से चेहरे को क्रीम पाउडर से ना ढका करो.
बढ़िया.
सारे हस्बैंड ऐसे ही सोचते हैं अब अपनी बीवियों के लिए कि कम से कम.
I totally agree with you on this.
इन दुनिया भर के सैर सपाटों में वो बात कहाँ, अपने घर जैसा कहीं और आराम कहाँ.
आराम कहाँ.
सारे हस्बैंड ऐसे ही सोचते हैं ना.
बिल्कुल.
भाइयों से खिटपिट में मत सेहत तुम खराब करो. माइयों से खिटपिट में मत सेहत तुम खराब करो. झाड़ू पोछा लगाकर थोड़ा सा रोज व्यायाम करो.
बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया.
सोने चांदी में मिलते अब तो 100 खोट हैं. तुम्हारी सुंदरता ही 24 कैरेट गोल्ड है.
अरे वाह, देखिए मतलब हाइट्स ऑफ क्या कहते हैं फ्रेम. हाँ.
माया 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 मत किया करो, ये तो महा ठगिनी है. मेरे घर आंगन की तू ही तो संगिनी है.
संगिनी है. वाह वाह, बहुत बढ़िया. देखिए किस प्यार से उन्होंने इतना प्रेज भी कर दिया और अपनी बात भी कह दी और अपनी बात रख भी दी. देखिए बहुत सुंदर, मुझे तो बहुत मजा आया और अवश्य हमारे दर्शकों को भी बहुत मजा आया होगा, बहुत आनंद आया होगा. अब जहाँ बात होती है पैशन की, आपने मेंशन किया कि यू आर अ क्लासिकल डांसर. सो व्हिच फॉर्म ऑफ डांस डू यू आर यू इनटू?
Nidhi, I have learned Kathak. When I was young, I did Kathak for a few years. And during my studies, I was totally out of touch. Bilkul khatam ho gaya tha. But then again, as I said, I revived. There are so many things which I started reviving. So this Kathak I again picked up. And there were online courses, especially during the COVID times. I did a full 1-year online course by Bhakti Deshpande. And there's another very good Kathak. These are very famous dancers, Nidhi Bansal. So I've been learning from her now. And there are so many programs which we have in our dining forums, So I have been participating in them. I just, don't miss an opportunity to participate in the dance program.
That was just so wonderful, beautifully said. And एज की कोई रेस्ट्रिक्शन नहीं है. टैलेंट नोज नो एज, नो प्लेटफॉर्म. मतलब जहां आपको मन करता है और आप ये ऑनलाइन है तो स्पेशली मुझे लगता है कि बहुत लोगों को ना इनकरेजमेंट
हो गया है.
ऑफ योर होम, आप जहाँ हैं अपने घर में, अपने कंफर्ट में आप वहां परफॉर्म करते हैं. एंड अगर हम एक लाइव परफॉर्मेंस करते हैं मतलब ऑफलाइन भी करते हैं तो how many people do you connect to, but when you're in on an online platform, so there are so many more people that you're getting connected to. That's a wonderful thing, beautiful thing. So anything if you could see, कुछ एक आपके कुछ मुद्रा मुद्रा अगर आप दिखाना चाहें हमारे दर्शकों को,
कथक की मुद्रा।
कोई भी एक भाव आप ले लीजिए, राधा कृष्ण का भाव ले लीजिए या प्रेम का या रौद्र रूप का
There are
या
different ways to portray, like there's this way to portray Krishna, and there is another way to portray Krishna in this way also. There are different, this is one mudra. I don't know how to do this Kathak, like sitting down.
no, but
Uh,
hand movement or anything if you would like to, just show it to us.
See, there are, Kathak is very fluid, Kathak can be graceful and it can be, little firm also. The movements I mean can be fluid and graceful, and they can be firm also. They can be very, very
Very
rapid
sharp,
and sudden,
very sharp,
sharp,
yes,
yes. And it can
yes,
be very fluid also. So it depends on the way you move, depends on the requirement of the particular toda and the particular, dance form, whatever you are doing in acting. So,
yes.
and also your bhav, there are different ras. So, your face has to have the same expressions as what you are
What
portraying.
you're trying to portray, absolutely. Which is your favorite Ras Puja, if you could just tell us? Which
Mm.
Ras you are most comfortable with, you love
I
depicting
think
yourself?
Veer Ras, I like the Veer Ras. That has the most, for us women, that is the best.
Wow, wow, wow. Veeras. Now that sounds interesting. And just one more thing, Pujal, I know that everything has started off online. So how does online learning Kathak, because it's a classical form of dance which needs a lot of precision and which needs a lot of, all those toras and jo bhi mudraएं karte, they need to be really, really perfect. So because there's not some Bollywood dance where you can just, थोड़ा अपना add on कर लिया हो
Yeah,
जाता है.
yeah.
So,
So these classes,
so is
if you join a proper training course, they will give
okay,
you like for every class, they break it down into 15-minute classes. You do those
okay,
15 minutes, then the next class they will first have a revision of the prior, right? And then
okay,
after you need to finish the whole 1.5 hour or something. After, see, on one day they will not ask you to complete the whole 1.5 hour, 15 minutes each, and the next day you revise, right? And then after you finish that particular thing, you can do that little thing and you can record and send it to them, and they have teachers who will assess, and they will,
okay.
you can also call them and talk to them, and they can guide you wherever you are lagging, whatever you need to work on. So it's a very bilateral, and it's a very mutually it's a good way of learning. If you are keen to learn, you will be able to learn.
So, learning from an offline class and an online class is like at par. It's like equally good. I mean, no
No,
one.
I don't think so. See, online is online, offline is always better. For
Obviously,
any
obviously.
art form,
And you
for
can't connect to
music, for instruments, for dancing, offline is always better. But because of so many restrictions and the situation that COVID has brought us into, this is the best thing which we can do right now.
it. Absolutely, absolutely. So, given a chance, would you go for an offline event, a
Sure,
performance, a performance? Definitely.
why not?
Why not? So, ladies and gentlemen, we have all these groups coming up with their annual days and everything. So, we can have Dr. Puja performing for us. That would be really wonderful, really, really wonderful. Looking forward to it. And एक बात मेरे जहन में आ रही थी कि now that you are instrumental in bringing a life into this world, right? So, uh, I mean, the beauty of, delivering a baby in front of your eyes with your hands and everything. And then we talk about female infanticide. So, how does that, relate with you? Like,
You've talked about something that's very, very close to my heart.
absolutely,
See, being an obstetrician, it's so nice that you bring a life into this world, true. And
absolutely,
it's so much of a joy for us. So we know as parents, it's such a joy for the parent. But it
absolutely,
is such a sad situation when you bring a girl into the world and the parents don't want to look at it. The grandparents, are so angry and upset. It's mind boggling. It's very sad. It just shows the very harsh realities of the world. And even if you, I mean, it's not only in the uneducated or the the lower strata. I tell you, Nidhi, this is in all stratas of the society. Very cultured, very educated people still are not happy with having a girl. Female infanticide has thankfully come down in our country a lot. After this PCPNDT, there is an act which has come up in which there is the prenatal self-determination is not allowed.
Not now. Absolutely.
Yes, so the in your ultrasounds, nobody will tell you which sex it is. Earlier, people were using that as a tool and finding out and getting the abortions done. So now, because that is not happening, the females are coming into the world. But I just saw a video 2 3 days back about a newborn girl was fished out of the nala with a
Oh my
stone tied to her, and she had been thrown after birth into that nala. And I saw that video. I could not even see it. So
I
this
mean,
still happens in our society in the 21st century. Can you believe that?
this is actually so heartbreaking and the pathetic situation, the mindset of the people. I mean, when you are giving birth to a child, be it a girl or a boy, what difference does it make? And then these
That's
incidents
what
make people like,
I think. I don't know. पता नहीं लड़का क्या दे देता है इनको. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't
But
even want to ask my viewers anything about. There is nothing. Nobody can ever say anything about this is actually very pathetic. And now that we're talking about women, and of course, there is one little question that arises in my mind is,
I just wanted to
uh,
add one thing, one good thing, one good point, good news is that अभी latest जो survey हुआ है हमारा, the sex
mhm.
ratio in our country has for the first time become favorable for women. So
Oh
sex
wow.
ratio is the number of males for male is to female ratio, right? So
Hmm.
at present now we have 1,020 females for every 1,000 males.
Oh
So
wow.
first time the females are favorable.
All kudos to good thinking.
Modi
Not
and
good thinking.
Beti Padhao and to our prenatal sex determination act. So all kudos to these efforts.
Definitely, definitely. This goes a long way into saying our society is trying to evolve and being more
And
favorable to
we
girls. That
started
is
in bladder,
really
yes.
commendable. Something really, really commendable. Now, when we are talking about females and their safety and about their mental health and physical health as well. So, what we want you to tell us about cervical cancer. But this is a topic which we wanted to discuss. So, what
So
is cervical
another topic,
cancer? All about?
another point I really need to I wanted to share. I told you I want to bring this up because this is something all the ladies who are here on the group and everybody who will listen to this, I want to tell you a little some facts about cervical cancer.
Okay.
So you will be shocked to know in India, one woman dies every 8 hours of cervical cancer.
Oh,
Yes, this is the second most common cause of cancer after breast cancer, and one fourth of the whole world's patients of cervical cancer are from India. So we contribute to one fourth of the total load of cervical cancer. So you can imagine the extent of the problem in our country.
number. That's quite a
And
sizable number. And
it is a mind-boggling number, and this is because of lack of awareness.
Mhm.
How many of us have taken the cervical cancer vaccine? And how many of our girls are we know do we know that we have to get them vaccinated?
I guess not many of the female population are actually aware of it all. Because
See, let
if
me
you are
tell you,
aware of it,
vaccination is primary prevention. We all know that. Now we know COVID का vaccine है, उससे बचाता है. तो
yeah.
cervical cancer का vaccine आ गया, that is such a big thing. And वो हमें cervical cancer से बचाता है. So we all have to take it. And all girls from 9 years onwards should take the vaccine. Okay, 9 to 14 years में there are just 2 doses of the vaccine. And from 15 years up to 45 you can take the vaccine. And then you have to take 3 doses. It is available. It is a little expensive, but if you see what it saves you from, it's nothing. So
Absolutely.
go and get your cervical cancer vaccination, and all your sisters, daughters, everybody please tell them to get this done. And another one thing which I wanted to say about was
Yes.
about your pap smear examinations. So this is the first thing you do is get a vaccination.
Mhm.
Second thing is you get your screening done, which again every female, starting from 30 years onwards, at least in our country, otherwise 25 onwards in the foreign countries,
Yes, yes.
every 3 years you should get a pap smear. And it is
Okay.
not an optional, it has to be done because pap smear is the only test which will tell you at the
Mhm.
earliest stage that you have cancer. Okay, so
Can
unless you get it done, you will only know when it is advanced. So
be.
this has to be done.
पूजा, यहाँ मैं एक बात कहना चाह रही हूँ कि हमारे जो फीमेल पॉपुलेशन है, बहुत लोगों को इसके बारे में पता ही नहीं होगा। आप प्रिवेंशन या प्रिकॉशन आप तभी लेते हो जब आपको इसके बारे में एक अवेयरनेस होती है, या आप सुनते हैं, या आप इसके बारे में, क्योंकि फीमेल्स में एक मैंने नोटिस किया है कि जब तक कुछ हो नहीं जाता, दे डोंट गो टू द डॉक्टर, दे डोंट
Totally, you're right.
अप्रोच द डॉक्टर। हाँ, सो
Absolutely.
वो जो चीज है वो थोड़ा सा उसको
तो
हम
हमारी जो सैक्रिफाइस और हमारी सेल्फ डेप्रिसिएशन की जो एक हैबिट है ना कि ठीक है हमें चलता है कुछ नहीं होगा हमें क्या होगा
कर लेंगे, देख
don't
लेंगे।
bother about yourselves, but that is not a good thing. If you are not well, how will you take care of your family?
Absolutely, I totally agree with you on this point. And जितने भी females जो हमारे जो दर्शक हैं, and even men, those who all are watching this show, definitely आप अपने mothers, daughters, sisters and wife को जरूर इस चीज से aware करवाएं, because when you nip, if you have a problem and you nip it at the bud, I think that helps, that goes a long way in, just for good health. जब हम good health की बात करें,
What finding out is not is no way, like an
no,
ostrich
even if
getting
you,
stand and you imagine there is nothing around, that is not going to solve the problem. It's going to grow.
and so we have an expert saying this, and definitely, I'm sure, Pooja, because being a doctor and being a gynecologist, and your words, make a lot of difference. Because people then tend to understand कि हाँ, definitely अगर एक डॉक्टर ये सब सलाह दे रही है तो उसको समझना चाहिए, मानना चाहिए। And viewers, you can always talk to Dr. Puja Dewan. We have her number here with us. And if Pooja, if you wish to share your number with our viewers, you can definitely do that. I have another question in waiting for you. You can share your number, and they may all connect to you on this regard.
I will surely. Right now, you want to do it? You want me to do it?
You can share your number. You can share your number. Definitely no issues with that. You can just read out your number, and they can note it down.
Or Nidhi, you can do it on the group later on, whenever. Okay, no
Okay,
issue. I
okay.
don't have a problem.
We'll do that. Let's not, let's continue our conversation here. There is another question which pops up in my mind is that these days we are having so many sanitary pad drives actually for, the underprivileged female population. But एक जो question मेरे दिमाग में आ रहा है कि ये जो drives हैं इनमें ये लोग sanitary pads available कराते हैं, which is as cheap as 10 rupees a packet, which has 10 units, so it amounts to just 1 rupee per unit. But normally जब हम market में we have those brands, जो भी brands available है market में, they are priced quite exorbitantly. तो क्या जो ये अवेलेबल हो रहे हैं लोगों को, अवेलेबल हो रहे हैं इतनी इजीली, अब सब बहुत लोग कंट्रीब्यूट करें इस चीज को, तो उसके सैनिटेशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, हाइजीन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, कहाँ तक वो सही है?
So I'm glad, Nidhi, you brought this also up. This is a very, very pertinent and a very good issue now. Thanks to Padman,
Yes,
everybody knows about this problem in our country now, and they've opened up to it.
open up
Uh,
to it.
yes, I'll give you a statistic. Only 58% of our women in our country are using sanitary pads.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
So what happens to the rest? What are they
What happened?
using? You can imagine. They are using whatever they get their hands on. It
Oh
even includes dung and husk and I don't know, I can't tell you all the things because
my God. Oh my
yes,
God.
yes, because
That's
there
quite
is
a revelation.
because of poverty, Nidhi, 1 rupee, 10 रुपए क्या वो 10 एक पैकेट खरीदना भी उनके लिए मुश्किल है उन्हें लगता है उतने पैसे का हम कुछ खाने का खरीद लेंगे
आई थिंक
ये
खरीदने से भी ज्यादा उनके दिमाग में है कि यूज करना चाहिए या नहीं चाहिए. They can use everything, but they will not use that pad for some reasons unknown.
धीरे
I
धीरे
mean,
समय के साथ मुझे ऐसा लगता है वो बदलाव आ रहा है बिकॉज अब फीमेल एजुकेशन भी अब बढ़ रही है तो ये चीज ये वाला जो ऑब्स्टिकल है वो धीरे धीरे कम हो रहा है कि यूज करना चाहिए अब प्रॉब्लम आती है अगर उनकी एजुकेशन हो गई तो वो यूज कैसे करें, उनको कहाँ से वो आएगा। तो सैनिटरी पैड्स की जो प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट होती है वो ₹1 से ज्यादा होती नहीं है यूजुअली, द बेसिक वन। तो हम यूज करते हैं हाई एंड और वो सब, उसके लिए तो अब आप देखो ना, कोई भी हाई एंड आप ब्रांड जाओगे तो इट इज सो मेनी टाइम्स मोर एक्सपेंसिव. But these cards, see these NGOs and these the government also is doing a wonderful job now. I was just reading about some different initiatives. There's one called Not Just a Piece of Cloth. There's another one called Proud to Bleed. So these are different initiatives. Yeah. So these, yeah. So they are giving these at such a low cost. And see about the hygiene issue. There is a basic hygiene which will be maintained. You know, it will be produced wherever it is produced. There is a basic level of hygiene, and I'm sure you will agree this is much better than the cloth or whatever else they are using.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you on this. Like, it must be definitely, if they're following those basic hygiene protocols also, they would definitely be much better than all that husk and the cow dung and whatever cloth they are using. I mean, absolutely. So, I mean, a great initiative on the part of the government, and there are so many private firms also being a part of this drive, sanitation drive for women, and kudos to all of them. And I'm very glad that we could talk about it on an open platform, because there are still so many women who are, अब मैं बताती हूँ, जैसे अब हम chemist के पास भी जाते हैं, they generally cover it in a black polythene or something. Why? I mean, this is
Still, I take out the polythene वहीं पे कि ये सब क्यों कर रहे हो? Why are you doing this?
absolutely, absolutely.
क्या छुपाना है और क्यों छुपाना है? And it's not something to be ashamed of, you know?
Why ashamed of? This is just natural, and this is the a part of being a woman.
Yes,
And why?
and you should be proud of it. You know, that is why you can become a mother. You know, that is something which the other species are not able to do. You know.
Absolutely, absolutely. There are other things which we can hide. You need to, to cover up those things. Rather, people should be educated, more educated about these kind of sanitations. And of course, men should also be, have that empathy and sympathy for women. If they are going through that phase, we have those mood swings, we have those cramps, we have everything, but we still live up to it. Every month we go through all of this, and for ages, like ages.
So
And
this has
so
to
I'm
come from
sure,
the school. Like I'm very happy with the sex education now they've started giving at from
yeah,
very early classes. You know.
yeah.
So this sensitivity, this awareness, especially in the males, you know, has to be imbibed. You know, and we as mothers, you know, have to also do it with our children, with our sons, to become more sensitive toward these issues.
Most sensitive, absolutely. That is what is the call of the present times. And Puja, I think we need to, ये मन नहीं कर रहा कि आपसे बातें अभी नहीं हो, और बहुत सारी बातें करने का मन है. अगर आपके किटी में कुछ और है, कुछ और आप हमें सुनाना चाहें और रेडी है आपके पास, तो we would be, we want to end the show on a very happy note. एंड हमारे व्यूअर्स को बता दूं, आज बहुत सारी ऐसी बातें हैं जो हमारे फीमेल व्यूअर्स को डेफिनेटली समझ आएंगी एंड रिलेट कर पाएंगी इन सब चीजों से.
So you want something funny again?
एब्सोल्युटली, बस बिल्कुल हंसते हंसते ही शो एंड होना चाहिए. बट द शो मस्ट गो ऑन.
This is my dad's poem again, and this is called Neta ki Aarti. So this is something we deviate from the topic. अब सब boring हो गया पढ़ाई वढ़ाई की बातें, तो अभी नेता की आरती है ये.
ओके जी, नेताजी को प्रस्तुत किया जाए.
तुम्ही हो भाषण, तुम्ही हो ताली, दया करो हे दयालु नेता. तुम्ही हो बैंगन, तुम्ही हो थाली, दया करो हे दयालु नेता. तुम्ही हो इंजन, तुम्ही हो गाड़ी, रही अनाड़ी के हम अनाड़ी.
बढ़िया.
दिला दो टीटी से एक बर्थ खाली, दया करो हे दयालु नेता. तुम्ही पुलिस हो, तुम्ही हो डाकू, तुम्ही हो खंजर, तुम्ही हो चाकू, तुम्ही हो गोली, तुम्ही दुनाली, दया करो हे दयालु नेता. तुम्ही हो चम्मच, तुम्ही हो चीनी, तुम्ही ने होठों की चाय छीनी.
अच्छा, बढ़िया.
पिला दो कॉफी की एक प्याली, दया करो हे दयालु नेता. तुम्ही बाढ़ हो, तुम्ही हो सूखा, मरे ना क्यों फिर किसान भूखा. तुम्ही हो ट्रैक्टर, तुम्ही हो ट्रॉली, दया करो हे दयालु नेता. पिटे हुए हो उदास हम हैं, पिटे तुम हो उदास हम हैं, तुम्हारी गाड़ी के दास हम हैं, तुम्हारी गाड़ी के दास हम हैं, कभी बड़ाली कभी मुंडाली, दया करो हे दयालु नेता।
दयालु नेता, बहुत ही जबरदस्त आपने पोएट्री सुनाई है। और आजकल जो इलेक्शन की गर्माहट जो है, जो चल रही है प्रदेश में, और बहुत ही अप्रोप्रिएट है, और खासकर किसी नेता ने सुन ली तो
सुननी चाहिए हमको।
बिल्कुल समझ जाएंगे कि एक सटीक चित्रण किया है एक नेता के जीवन
प्यार
का, एक
प्यार से,
नेता।
प्यार प्यार से आरती करिए
बहुत
उनकी।
प्यार, बहुत चाशनी घोल घोल के आपने नेताजी की आरती उतारी है। बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत मजा आया। एंड पूजा, आपसे मिलकर, आपसे बातें कर कर, और आप इस शो में आए और हमारे साथ अपनी बहुत सारी चीजें आपने शेयर करी, एंड बहुत सारी इंफॉर्मेशन दी थी हमारे दर्शकों को। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। और ऐसे ही आपकी बकेट लिस्ट में अभी आपने एक दो ही चीजें मेंशन की हैं, बट डेफिनेटली लेट ऊर्जा टॉक्स की तरफ से आपको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं कि आपकी बकेट लिस्ट में
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you all for being there. Thank you.
बिल्कुल जितनी भी आपकी इच्छाएं हैं, जितनी भी आपकी विशेष है, वो सारी पूरी हों। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you. Bye.
थैंक यू।